There is a mentor I believe in and follow, but his words are different from my thoughts. How to understand?
You shouldn't believe anything just because you've been told about it. Even if you respect someone, don't take his word for it. Through thorough verification and analysis, if it is good or beneficial to all things, believe in it, hold on to it, and use it as an indicator for yourself.
His words have changed from before, but I think it is because the situation has changed. If so, can I fully trust and follow it?
Don't depend on anyone. He only leans on himself as a lamp. There is no truth in the words of others. It is natural to keep changing and changing. Only in those who accept it can truth be found. Don't rely on what others say. Focus on the truth within yourself.
My coworkers keep gossiping about me. I know so many of his weaknesses that my mouth itches.
It's easy to see other people's faults, but it's hard to see my faults. Human beings are good at pointing out the faults of others, but not their own. Just as a cunning gambler hides his ticket, he keeps it hidden from anyone. Even if you know other people's sins, don't reveal them often. If you inevitably want to expose the faults of others, don't miss the time. Do it on time. Do it with the truth, not lies. It must be done in order to benefit, and it must be done with a soft and benevolent heart. Victory brings resentment. Defeat brings self-deprecation. If you leave the mind of winning and losing, and do not quarrel with each other, peace will come to you by itself. By paying off any grudge, it doesn't work. Rather, it is resolved only when all grudges are forgiven. This is the eternal truth.
I hate my coworkers. Obviously, my colleague was at fault, but it's unfair that I suffer.
Keeping anger in your heart means drinking poison yourself. It's like wanting the other person to die. Iron rust comes from iron, but gradually eats up that iron. Wrong thoughts also arise from a person, but in the end they eat away at that person. Neither those who hate you nor all your enemies can hurt you. An intemperate heart hurts you. Anger toward the other person is also evidence of an unrestrained mind. It is you who trap yourself in anger. If you don't rule my mind, it will rule you.
I don't have a horse, so I spend a lot of time alone. Now I have to get along with people, but I don't know how.
When you enjoy richness to your heart's content, and sometimes you are afraid as a deer is wary of beasts. At the decisive moment, treat it as scary and ferocious as a tiger. This is the attitude of a wise person. Be proud like a mountain, but humble yourself like grass in the field. Normally be silent like a mute, but when you need to talk, speak like a king. It must be cold as snow and hot as fire.
The business I was doing was ruined. I can't afford to start all over again.
There are two things that get in the way of our lives. One is to never finish anything. It is of no use if you only mark it, and do not go to the end. Even though the road is rough and difficult, you have to look far. The other is to not start at all. If you don't start anything in failure and fear can be avoided, but the futility of existence cannot be avoided. Don't be arrogant when you're at an advantage. Don't be servile when you're at a disadvantage. Sometimes things go well and sometimes they don't. It could be because you did well, or it could be because the timing was good. What matters is your heart that accepts it. Don't look for causes around you. Look for answers in your heart. The world is always changing. Even today's adversity will pass someday. If you don't remember the current adversity and the time comes when things go well, that's the most dangerous time. Be careful then.
Business partners never give up their stubbornness. How can I convince you?
It is very difficult to get out safely carrying dry grass in a roaring fire. More difficult than this, it is to teach people who are united by greed, rather than persuading others. It is first to know whether you are persuading yourself. You have to convince yourself first to be able to convince others. Those who are blinded by greed cannot hear. Don't persuade the person's head, but the person's heart. The first thing to do is to see what it is full of.
I can't communicate with my spouse at all. How long have we lived together, but I still don't know.
True love is born with understanding. It's not love. just because you live together for a long time. It's not something you can understand even if you've seen it for a long time. In order to understand the other person, you must first understand yourself. If you don't understand and love me, you can't see your opponent, and you can't even love. If you only look for things you can't communicate with on the other side, you will wander through an endless labyrinth. Understanding my heart is the beginning of love. I want to be happy. Even though I made money, I saw it, and I married the spouse I wanted, but I am not happy. Will service make a difference? Get rid of me first. It is ego. Then get rid of what you want. It is a desire. After removing everyone, you will be left with only happiness. The present conversation was composed by paraphrasing Shakyamuni's words to fit the present. Gautama Siddhartha, as the founder of Buddhist philosophy, he is the one who earned the title of Shakyamuni. To some, it is seen as a Buddha who has enlightened all things. To some, it will be seen as the person who created the core of Eastern thought. Either way, his words raise a number of deep questions for us today. The world changes endlessly, so if you chase it, you will lose yourself. Turn off the world and focus on me. It means that the country did not exist from the beginning. The obsession with me that I haven't forgotten is what creates all the pain, Shakyamuni says. His words have been passed down through thousands of years. You can clearly see that there is a deep power within it. Adults already knew thousands of years ago that the world is changing faster and faster. With this video, I hope you take some time to think for yourself.